2023. Is this Reptile Room Tour 2023? Did we do one in 2023? It's me, Kasey, the animal care manager here at Zen Habitats, and it's time for another reptile room tour. Here at the Zen Habitats HQ, we have a number of animals that we like to call our ambassador pet species. They are here for us to show you how to properly care for these animals and create fun and educational content. So let's get started. The first animal I would like to introduce to you is Cleo, our northern blue-tongued skink. She is housed in this really awesome 8-foot long enclosure, so it measures out to be 8 feet by 2 by 2. And we accomplish this by using 2 of our wooden 4 by 2 by 2 enclosures with a length extension kit. Within her enclosure, we have a Zen cave, a couple Zen backgrounds. She's got some nice deep aspen bedding for her substrate. She's got some cork bark to hide under. And we also have this little treat dispenser that I'll put freeze-dried turkey in that she loves to forage and use to get out. We also have another hide on the cool end of her enclosure.
Hey everybody, it's Randy, founder and CEO of Zen Habitats, and this little guy is Chi, and Chi is my favorite reptile. One is because Chi is the OG. He was the original reptile that helped us realize that we need better enclosures for our reptiles.
So a little backstory about Chi. He was picked up from a local pet store, and he was also purchased with a baby bearded dragon kit. And over time, Chi was super unhappy within that enclosure, and our company founders decided to build him an enclosure, and from there, this whole company blossomed. So right now, we're housing Chi in a 4 by 2 by 4 enclosure. He has this nice deep bioactive substrate, some ample climbing areas, as well as multiple basking spots. In the wild, males specifically are observed on top of things like fence posts, tree stumps, and they do that in order to watch over their females and their territory. So we have tried to mimic that here in Chi's habitat. Our other bearded dragon named Zoe is housed in a 4 by 2 by 2 enclosure. You might notice that it's a little bit more bare than Chi's, and there's a good reason for that. Zoe has limited mobility in her back legs, so we wanted to give her a much more simplified enclosure that she could easily get around in. We have utilized our Zen mat here in her enclosure. This is a really great solid substrate option for your bearded dragon because it's textured, holds on to heat, and is padded for joint health. I really like the Zen mat for special needs animals, animals that are healing, or if you have a quarantine setup. Eddie's build is probably one of my favorite builds that I've done because it's an arid bioactive setup. If you want to see the full build for this, check out the video above.
Hi everyone, I'm Em and I am the Director of Partnerships here at Zen Habitats, and this very excited young lady is Ming. She is my favorite animal here at Zen Habitats because she is a Chinese water dragon, and I actually used to catch them back in Hong Kong when I used to live there. They are fascinating, not always the best to handle, a really good display species, but they are awesome when you keep them in a really good habitat, and they can tame down really nicely too.
So Ming's enclosure is a little bit of a DIY hack that we did. We took a 4 by 2 by 4 enclosure and then built it without a top panel. And then we took a 4 by 2 by 2 without a bottom panel and sandwiched them together to create this giant 6-foot tall enclosure. Within her enclosure, it is a bioactive substrate with live plants, and we also have this 20-gallon fish tank that houses some guppies. She uses this fish tank when she feels like she needs to hide from us or to hunt fish. The next 2 enclosures I want to go over house 2 of our new Caledonian geckos. They are housed in these 2 by 2 by 2 Zen Habitat enclosures. The enclosures are very similar in the sense that they are both bioactive, both have live plants, both have some hanging hides, food ledges. I guess the main difference is that Ernie, our crested gecko, has this really cool hamster wheel that he uses as enrichment. Rosie definitely has the biggest habitat that we've created here in the office. She is housed in this really great 8 by 4 by 4 foot enclosure. And we created this by using 4 separate 4 by 2 by 4s with an extension kit. As you can see, this enclosure is massive. We have hundreds of pounds of substrate in here. We have a whole tree, and we've created all these different basking platforms with slate tiles so that Rosie can have multiple areas to chill out on and burrow under and fully explore this massive habitat.
Hi, I'm Sean. I work in package receiving, and Chip is my favorite animal here at Zen because he's so chill and relaxed.
This next enclosure is housing our ball python Chip. He is just such a cutie. We created this massive enclosure for him. It's a 4x2x4, and we did this because we witnessed him climbing a lot. So not all ball pythons are going to climb as much as Chip does, but we saw that he really enjoyed climbing, so we wanted to give him the permanent options within his enclosure. So what we did was install a couple shelves with some hardware shelf brackets right into the enclosure, and that has given him multiple areas to explore and climb. Minnie's enclosure is super unique because not only did we create a length extension like we did Cleo, our blue-tongued skink, but we also added a little bit of height like we did Ming's, the Chinese water dragon. In certain areas of this enclosure, Minnie has 40 inches of vertical height and she has 8 feet of horizontal length. Because this enclosure is so large, we were able to create lots of different microclimates. On the right-hand side, we've created kind of a lagoon setup that has a fish tank that keeps our humidity up. We also have tons of live plants, and we have a nice warm corner cave on her warm side that is used as a humid hide. The next enclosure I want to show you guys houses our 3 red-eyed tree frogs, Pickle, Pogo, and Mojo. This enclosure is super fun, and it's one of the first custom builds that I've made working here at Zen Habitats. This one was really fun. We went with a Star Wars theme. We tried to create the moon planet of Endor, and I think it came out really great. The most common question about this enclosure is, why does it have a red door? This is something that we did as a little experiment. These frogs are nocturnal, and we'd like to see them awake when we're here in the office. So what we did was we switched their light cycle. So their lights come on at night and go off during the day. And this red door just helps filter out some of the room light.
Hi, I'm Doug. I'm the social media manager here at Zen Habitats, and my favorite animal in the office is Phoenix the corn snake. I just really like her because she is a wiggly little girl who loves to move around, and she's just a really pretty color. Say hi.
Moving on to Phoenix's enclosure. So this one is super fun. This is definitely one of the biggest enclosures I've seen housing a corn snake before. So this is another 4x2x4, and we've created this kind of jungle gym for Phoenix. So a little bit of a backstory. We brought Phoenix to an expo as a display animal to show off one of our enclosures. It was a 4x2x4, and we noticed she spent the entire expo climbing all over that enclosure. So we decided when she got home that she deserved a whole 4x2x4 enclosure just to herself. So some things that we did to mimic natural enrichment, even though it doesn't look super natural, even though it has bright colors and may not appear to be very natural looking, it still mimics a lot of things that corn snakes would encounter in the wild. For instance, we have these cool fruit baskets that mimic bird nesting, and we also have this dog toy that is kind of like a squirrel nest, so we can hide pinkies in there and do little rodent raids for Phoenix. Alright, so you have probably never noticed this second door to the reptile room, and we've never really used it, except for now. With our new black enclosure line, we decided that we needed to make a second reptile room to highlight some of these really amazing products. Alright, so let's go take a look. So let's take a look at these enclosures in depth. Let's start our black enclosure tour here with baby Dino. Dino is our baby ornate Eurymastix, and he is housed in this awesome 4x2x2 black habitat. We created this nice desert type environment using a mixture of play sand and topsoil. We've also made a basking platform with these concrete bricks. I glued them to the floor and to each other so that they won't fall and hurt him if he burrows under them. And we were donated this really cool
bear skull.
Now this is definitely one of my favorite builds. We got this really cool tokay girl from our friend over at Dakota Blue Exotics. The inspiration behind this enclosure was to kind of look like a post-apocalyptic city. So we have dubbed this enclosure Tokyo. I created some buildings and we have some little fake billboards, tons of areas to hide. Goji is really thriving in this little city. We have another 2x2x4 that is housing our juvenile Leachianus gecko shortcake. This was a really fun build as I used live plants and fake plants to create this little jungle oasis. I made a cork bark background using some spray insulation foam, cork bark, and sphagnum moss. She is really thriving in this enclosure. The next two enclosures are actually not housing any animals at all. We have converted these two enclosures into greenhouses. Our first one is our 16-inch low profile enclosure. We are using our 16-inch enclosure for arid plants such as succulents and different cacti. Then our 4x2x4 we are using to house our tropical plants. We have set this enclosure up with our automatic misting system like we do for our reptiles as well. So next we have our conference room, and we figured this was a great spot to highlight a couple more animals. This is another really unique build that we made. We wanted to create a pond environment for our two young eastern painted turtles. So what we did was we started our base with a 120-gallon fish tank. Then we added a deluxe stacking spacer. Then we added a 4x2x2 enclosure on top. The top enclosure is completely bioactive, full of orange isopods and nice deep substrate that our turtles can burrow in. Within the deluxe stacking spacer, we have a nice ramp that they can get up into their terrestrial portion. And down below is obviously our aquatic section, where we have lots of live plants, some snails, shrimp, pleco, and just a really thriving pond environment for these baby turtles.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm the VP of Marketing for Zen Habitats, and my favorite critter in the office is Kenny. I love Kenny because he is so sociable and loves to come out of his enclosure and hang out with all of us, and he's just super funny, and I love his expressions and stuff.
So Kenny is housed in a 4x2x4 enclosure, and we have put in lots of live plants for him. And we've also created this kind of bridge structure using bamboo stakes. To heat his enclosure, we have a deep heat projector as well as a radiant heat panel. He's got full UVB and LED plant access for lighting as well. We have two more animals to show you, and they're housed in the big boss's office, so let's go take a look. Just like Kenny, Flounder has a very similar setup, but this is in our black enclosure line. So it's another 4x2x4, and we've set it up pretty much the same with the same sort of equipment and heat products. And we also recreated this cool bamboo pathway that the chameleons use to climb on. I added some fake leaves to give him some extra coverage. The last enclosure I want to go over is for our California king snake Oreo, and he is housed in this really cool 4x2x2 enclosure. He's got a zen cave, some live plants, and a nice deep sphagnum moss substrate. Thank you so much for watching our reptile room tour. We really hope you enjoyed it, and you enjoyed meeting all of our fun critters that we have here in the office. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop us a like and a comment and tell us who your favorite animal was. We'll catch you next time.